Coach, last year you told us at this coach's show that if you didn't end up being a coach, you probably would have ended up being a preacher.
Yeah.
You had a tough year last year.
Prayed a lot.
You were trying to get those guys to keep the faith a little bit too.
Yes,
weren't you?
Yes.
Talk about going through that season last year. Let's just rip the Band-Aid right off. It was tough.
Yeah, it was one of the toughest experiences in my life. Never really having experienced that professionally or as a player. It was really something that tested me and challenged my faith because you didn't have the answers a lot of times. It was like you were going into a game and you're undermanned and you got 6-7 guys healthy. And it's like, what do we do? How do we make this work? We're changing defenses. We're playing defenses we're not used to playing. But it actually makes you work harder. It humbles you, made you work harder, make you go recruit. And that's what we did.
Yeah, when you're in the middle of that over the course of a season, it's sort of just survive and advance. Let's get to the next game. Let's get through this one. Once that season ends, though, you had a little bit of time for soul searching, a little bit of time to define, what are we going to do with this program moving forward? What was that period like?
Yeah, it was really the period actually happened like right after the second semester started because we needed to make sure that we were going to put ourselves in the positions to be successful for this upcoming year that we're in now and the future. And we had to get the players. We had to get some new players. We had to, go back to the lab, I always say, and learn some different things and look to do some different things as a coach. Leadership needed to be better with, the guys just because, the generation is changing. And I was talking to a coaching friend of mine the other day is you can't coach kids like you were coached, because it's just a different generation now. So we really had to make sure that myself and the coaching staff was ready for that challenge. Like I said, the lifeline of a good program is good players. And, we went out and recruited.
It's one of those situations where almost on the team you needed a mindset reset and try to get these guys, like you said last year, so many young players on your team, try to get them pointed in the right direction where that maybe the results aren't going to be there this year, but we've got to lay the foundation for this year. Is that what you saw happening? Was there a mindset reset with these guys?
Well, to your point, playing a lot of young guys last year, some forced into action, some that we wanted to play. They really got a lot of great experience. And that experience, we think, is going to pay dividends down the road. We have a couple freshmen from last year, the sophomores, juniors, whatever, that, played 20, 25, 30 games, started 25, 30 games. So, we're looking forward to them. They're used to PSAC play. They're used to what it takes to win at this level or what it takes to compete at this level. The next step is with this group learning how to win. So, we did some unique things recruiting, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But, building that mindset is important because, when you struggle the way we did, confidence is shaking a little bit. And that's when you go back to the faith, go back to praying and knowing that, it's trials and tribulations. He's not going to put us in a position that we can't handle. So we're there. We're ready to go. Nobody feels bad for you in the PSAC. I know that.
No, that's 100% true.
Nobody will feel bad for you. So we're ready to go, though.
Yeah, and before we start talking about this team this year, I guess the other thing that you can look at as a positive, if there is a silver lining to this, is that you get the opportunity, or you had the opportunity, to sort of separate the wheat from the chaff, and you find out who's all in, who's not all in, and in some ways it's an opportunity. We can reform the program based on the guys that are all in, that are focused, that are committed, and we can focus on them, and we can kind of move away from the guys that aren't because it's not working.
Well, you're 100% right, man. You hit the nail right on the head again because, what you realize during adversity is who's really all in and who's really committed. It's easy to be great when you're winning. It's easy to be great when you're leading the pack. But when you have adversity, when you're struggling, when you're losing, who's really going to do the things that you need done to get done? Who's really going to be committed to the classroom? Who's really going to be committed to practice? And like you said, you can see those things as evident just by the work ethic. And like I said, man, we had to reevaluate everything. And, it's a big year for us, and we know that. And we want to just come out and compete and prove everybody that we're back.
Let's talk about some of the guys that you know that were committed, that are all in. You've got a core of veterans that have played a lot of games over the last couple of years. Some of these guys, two of them that I'm going to mention, have really just played a lot of games over the last year. But R.J. Legan, he's a senior point guard. He's been on this team for a number of years. And then also in the senior class, you've got Brandon Williams. He's an old veteran. Those guys in the backcourt adapted to a lot of different roles over the course of their careers.
Yeah, and you're right. They're really solid for us. Those guys been around the block. They know what the PSAC's about. They know what it needs to come in, what you need to do every day when you come into work. One of our biggest things right now is like every program here at Clarion, it's just the challenges with the building and getting through that. But they have been really good with just making sure the guys know what they need to do, making sure they're in the right places. RJ's actually been a little bit more verbal this year, which, is great for us because, he's always been more of a quiet type leader, but he's actually communicating a lot better, which is really helping us out. And, like I said, Brandon Williams has been great. He looks stronger. He just, he's ready. Sometimes when you have a senior, it could go either way. Either the senior could be like ready to be out, checking out, or the senior could be really bought in to complete their senior year. And he's really bought in to get this thing turned around because, he was here when we first got here. So he kind of gets it. He gets what we want to do. And, so we're excited about them two leading the way.
You've got two sophomores that are back from last year that played significant minutes. Kyrie Williams, who in my brief interaction with your team, especially during our photo day, for example, seems like we figured out who the class clown is, and it's probably Kyrie.
You got it.
But you've also got Mason Mraz, and he's a guy that was the freshman of the year, something like, 18, 19, or freshman of the week 19, 20 times last year.
And didn't win the award.
And didn't win the award,
Yeah,
which I don't understand how that works. I don't know who votes on that.
Yeah.
I demand a recount. It's
me
like
too.
Florida. I want a recount.
Me too.
Turn the machines back on. Let's figure it out. But you have those two guys, and they played significant minutes, and they produced a lot. And, you talk about iron sharpening iron and being thrown in the fire. Those guys, you probably in a perfect world wouldn't play two true freshmen 30 games over the course of the year, but you did.
Right. And the cool thing is that I learned a long time ago is like most of the time the biggest jump in one's college career is a jump between the freshman and sophomore year. And that's where they're at right now. And they came back in great shape. Kyrie put on probably about 10, 12 pounds, so that's going to help him. Mason did not need to put on weight. He's naturally kind of gifted in that area, but he's just they know what's coming now, and they've been great in the preseason. Mason's a little nicked up right now, but we should have him back hopefully by the home opener. But Kyrie's been great. And Kaz Taylor, you did not mention Kaz Taylor, but he's one that was around that came in as that freshman in that freshman class, but we redshirted him. So he's a sophomore in the classroom, but he's had tremendous gain. And just having guys around that's been around and knows what we want, knows who we are as coaches, it really helps out the program.
Yeah, you said something really interesting there about that jump from the freshman to sophomore year, so I'm going to take a detour here. The biggest thing that I've seen with athletes over the years when they make that jump is, like you mentioned, just the development of their physical strength and the development of their bodies. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've now spent a year in your strength and conditioning program.
Yeah.
And they've had an opportunity, whereas in high school it might have been a little more catch as catch can. When they come to Clarion, they're working with a strength and conditioning coach, Jesse Kelly, who he knows what it takes to get them prepared to compete night in and night out.
Jesse's great with the guys because, we're a little different. Jesse and I, wired different. And he comes in, and I always say, he's like the military football coach. You could just tell, shoes tied, let's go, ready to go.
Right down to the crew cut.
Let's get it, and the guys, different coaches are always great. And they respond to that. You know, the guys that don't really like the weight room, just kind of, we're making them go, you know, they quickly realize that I better be ready to go when I get in here. You know, so that's another thing with the building shuffling and stuff. You know, once we get the new building back again, we could get in a great rhythm again with Jesse. But, you know, he's been great for us and our guys. You know, Cass Taylor put on 10, 15, can't tell because he was really thin when he came in, but he put on 10, 15 pounds, and Jesse talks to him about eating right and just, you know, how to use the protein properly, and, you know, it's just something that they never had before, so it really helps their growth as an athlete and a person.
You've also got an infusion of talent, so many guys from so many different places. You have freshmen coming in, you have junior college transfers coming in, you have just people coming into the program now as you're trying to, as you said, get the program back to where you want it. Talk about some of these new faces that we're going to see on the court starting next week.
Yeah, well, you know, I kind of mentioned it earlier. We kind of did something unique. I'd never done it before. We took 3 kids from the same place, and you know, we were recruiting the 2 big guys, because John Williams and Stephon Rodriguez, because they're Pennsylvania guys. And we went and we seen the point guard, and we like, this kid could play too. And, you know, so ended up after we started recruiting the big guys, we realized that the point guard was the leader. And so it made sense for us to kind of recruit all 3 of them, because he could play at our level and he was the leader. And it's been great. They had a winning culture there. They won 25, 28 games last year. I think there was like 25-3. So, you know, the winning culture was there. We knew if we bring them in all at one time, you know, they have chemistry already, so we could kind of focus on some other things. And, you know, they have been great. You know, they've been tremendous for us just coming into work. Steph Rodriguez actually moved up here in the summer and just started getting ready. You know, he was ready to go. He wanted to get out of Reading and just, you know, get settled in. So he moved into his apartment early and just started working out on his own and just getting ready to go. So, you know, that's the type of kids that we brought in. And, you know, I'm not talking bad about anybody that played here before, but that's kind of what I thought we were missing, gym rats. You know, guys that wanted to be in the gym, guys that like to be in the gym. You always have a couple on your team, but when you get 6 or 7 or 8 of the 15 like that, that's when you become pretty good.
You know what it does is it creates a culture of expectation.
Yes, exactly.
When you've got the leaders that are doing it, then everybody else says, well, I better get in the gym too, because you know, Pip's going to be in the gym and Stefan's going to be in the gym. Coach, you're not taking it easy on these guys with your preseason scheduling. You got exhibition games against 2 Division I opponents. You had Drexel already, and then you're going down to Norfolk State. You know, again, iron sharpening iron. It's not going to get any harder probably over the course of the year, although there's obviously some great teams in the conference, but you start off with 2 Division I opponents. That's going to get you better. Yeah,
well, last year was really probably the only year since I've been here that we softened the schedule. We've always played West Liberty, Fairmont State, you know, Kentucky, you know, St. Francis of Pennsylvania. So I kind of just, like I said, when I did some soul searching myself, I'm not changing who I am. You know what I mean? If we're not going to turn this thing around, I'm going to give it my best effort in doing so, trying to. So we wanted to kind of play the best, man. Drexel had an opportunity. The assistants from Pittsburgh, he played at Penn State Barron, and I played at La Roche, so we had some familiarity together. The Spiker, the head coach, was from Morgantown. And Norfolk State was just an opportunity. We had a chance to go down to Winston-Salem last year. And it might have been the best atmosphere I ever played in.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Oh, my goodness. It was HBC atmosphere was amazing. So I figured, and Coach Ashley just was telling me she's played at Norfolk before. The DJ's coming. The lights are coming down. It's on. So when I had an opportunity to take my guys to, you know, even probably a better atmosphere than Winston-Salem, couldn't pass it up. And it gets us ready. I mean, Norfolk State lost to Virginia State by 7 the other day. Virginia State beat them last year. Virginia State plays IUP next week. They're both top 10 in the country. So, you know, it is what it is, man. We just want to go play some good competition. We know we play one of the best conferences in the country. So Norfolk State is a Division I school, but a lot of teams in our conference are probably as equal or a little bit is comparable to Norfolk State. So we wanted to get some good competition and go out there and compete and play.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, I'm going to let you get to practice. We can't leave Coach Al all alone there at the high school with those guys. He's going to need some of your guidance.
Yeah, Coach Al's a wily veteran. He can handle it. He's probably running around there making sure everything's lined up perfectly. But he's good to go.
I can't believe that guy doesn't drink coffee.
You know what? That would be scary. That would be scary if Coach
terrifying.
Al was drinking coffee. Sometimes, we say, he's a good guy.
I think you got to pull that garbage can just slightly out of the corner whenever you get there.
He'll go nuts.
Marcess Williams, everybody.